Picture this: Rome, 260 AD. You're a merchant in Antioch. Last year, a pound of gold bought you 50 units of wheat. Today, that same pound of gold still buys you 50 units of wheat. But your neighbor, the one who trusted the emperor's silver denarius, just watched his life savings lose 50% of its value overnight. Because Emperor Gallienus did something that would become the most repeated mistake in human history. He debased the coin. The denarius went from 85% silver content under Augustus to less than 2% under Gallienus. In 3 generations, an empire's money became glorified tin. This isn't ancient history as a curiosity. It's a warning manual. Because Rome did it, France did it, Weimar, Germany did it, Yugoslavia did it, and 27 countries have done it just since 1970. The average lifespan of a fiat currency? 27 years. Some economists put it lower. So the question that actually matters isn't if your currency loses its value. History already answered that. The question is, what do you hold when it does? I went through 2,000 years of monetary autopsies, from the Roman debasement to the Yugoslav hyperinflation of 1994, and pulled the forensic evidence, not theory, not financial advice, historical fact. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 5 assets protected wealth through every empire collapse, and which ones evaporated with the currency. Stay with me. First, understand the mechanism, because empire monetary collapse isn't random. It follows a script so predictable you could set a clock to it. Stage 1. The empire overspends. Wars, infrastructure, political bribes. Rome called them bread and circuses. Stage 2. Tax revenue can't cover the gap. The treasury starts shaving silver off coins, or in modern terms, printing money. Stage 3. Merchants notice. Prices start rising to compensate. Stage 4. The population loses faith. They flee to alternatives. Stage 5. The currency collapses entirely or gets replaced. Rome's denarius lost 98% of its silver content over 300 years. Yugoslavia's dinar lost 99.9% of its value in a single year. 1994. 1 year. Zimbabwe's dollar did the same in 2008. Argentina has done it 5 times since 1950. 5 times. Same pattern, same stages, same destruction. So, what survived every single time? Number 1. Precious metals. This one is ancient. Literally. When Rome's silver denarius collapsed in the 3rd century, what did sophisticated Roman merchants do? They demanded payment in gold aurae instead. The gold coin maintained its purchasing power even as the silver coin became worthless. Here's the brutal proof. In 301 AD, Emperor Diocletian issued his famous edict on maximum prices, an attempt to freeze prices during hyperinflation. It failed completely within months because merchants refused to sell goods at prices below their actual gold equivalent value. Gold didn't care about the emperor's decree. Fast forward to Yugoslavia, 1994. Monthly inflation hit 313 million%. The Yugoslav dinar became toilet paper. But citizens who held Deutsche Marks, or gold, preserved their wealth. The same pattern in Zimbabwe? The same pattern in Venezuela? Gold doesn't need a government to back it. It doesn't need a central bank. It doesn't need trust. It simply is scarce, and scarcity doesn't collapse when a government panics. The mechanism is simple. When currency supply explodes infinitely, gold supply can't follow. So relative to the currency, gold becomes more valuable by default. It's not an investment. It's insurance against the moment someone in power makes the same mistake Emperor Gallienus made in 260 AD. Number 2. Foreign hard currencies. When your empire's money dies, the escape valve is holding someone else's stable money. Let me take you to Belgrade, 1993. You're an engineer. You've saved 50,000 dinars over a decade. Solid savings by any measure. Then the government starts printing to cover war costs. January 1993. Your savings buy a small car. June 1993. They buy a bicycle. December 1993. They buy a loaf of bread. January 1994. They buy nothing. Literally nothing. The dinar had become mathematically worthless. But your colleague, another engineer, had converted her savings into Deutsche Marks the moment she noticed stage 2 behavior. Prices rising. Government denials. The familiar script. She maintained 100% of her purchasing power, not because Deutsche Marks were magical, because they weren't collapsing. This pattern repeats without exception. When Yugoslavia collapsed, Deutsche Marks ran the black market. When Zimbabwe collapsed, US dollars replaced the Zimbabwe dollar entirely before the government even made it official. When Argentina collapsed in 2001, citizens who held dollars outside the banking system survived. Those holding pesos in bank accounts lost everything when the government froze withdrawals overnight. The lesson? Currency diversification across jurisdictions is not speculation. It's the oldest survival mechanism in moneta. Number 4. Consumables and essential goods. This one is tactical, not strategic. But ignore it, and you'll be vulnerable during the acute phase, the weeks and months when the system first freezes. Post-World War II Germany. The Reichsmark was so worthless, it was effectively abandoned. But economic activity didn't stop. It reorganized. Cigarettes became currency. Coal became currency. Potatoes became currency. American soldiers bought cigarettes for cents at army stores and traded them with Germans for goods worth exponentially more. Why cigarettes? Standardized, divisible, durable, portable, widely desired, every property of money. Except a government printed them. When a large shipment of Red Cross packages hit German POW camps, injecting thousands of cigarettes into the camp economy at once, cigarette prices rose. More cigarettes chasing the same goods. The same inflationary mechanism as fiat currency expansion, playing out in cigarette form. In Venezuela, 2018, as the Bolivar collapsed, fishermen traded their catch directly for flour. Medical supplies, batteries, lighter fluid, basic tools. Anything with immediate use value became a medium of exchange. The limitation? Consumables get consumed. They're tactical for surviving the acute crisis phase. You can't build long-term wealth on aspirin and batteries. But in the weeks when the ATMs run empty and the shelves clear out, they are wealth. Number 5. Land that produces food. The one asset that generates the single thing no collapsing empire can make irrelevant: calories. During the Great Depression, the divide between rural and urban America was stark and documented. Farm families ate. They raised gardens, kept livestock, preserved food from orchards. They had calories when urban factory workers had none. The same pattern across every collapse. In Venezuela, agricultural landowners maintained food security regardless of what happened to the Bolivar. In Weimar, Germany, farmers could barter food for anything, while urban professionals with paper savings had nothing to offer. Land produces, currency collapses, production keeps producing. But here's the brutal vulnerability most people ignore. Zimbabwe, 2000. Mugabe's government simply seized commercial farms. No compensation, no legal recourse. Farms redistributed by decree. Agricultural output collapsed 60% over the following decade. The farms that had been the most valuable assets in the country became worthless overnight, not because of market forces, but because of a government signature. Land cannot hide. It cannot be moved. Governments know exactly where it is and can seize it, tax it, or regulate it into worthlessness. The strategy: agricultural land is most valuable when it either produces export crops for foreign currency revenue, sits in a jurisdiction with strong property rights, or is held through corporate structures that provide legal protection. Food production survives every collapse. Unprotected land ownership sometimes doesn't. Now, what evaporates? Number 1. Government bonds in domestic currency. When Rome debased the denarius, anyone holding government debt denominated in denarii was destroyed. When Yugoslavia collapsed, dinar-denominated bonds became worthless paper. When Argentina restructured its debt in 2001, bondholders lost 70% in nominal terms, then waited years in court to collect even that. A government bond is a promise from the government to repay you in its own currency. When the currency collapses, the promise becomes worthless. Not market failure, logical consequence. Number 2. Domestic savings accounts in collapsing currency. Lebanon's bank depositors kept the same nominal number in their accounts from 2019 to 2024. The number didn't change. The purchasing power dropped 98%. They watched their wealth disappear in slow motion, while their account statements showed no change. The lesson is 2,000 years old. Being a creditor to a collapsing monetary system is the most reliable path to wealth destruction in human history. So here's the pattern, confirmed across 2,000 years of monetary autopsies. What survived every collapse? Precious metals. The universal store of value governments cannot print. Foreign hard currencies, the escape valve when your empire's money burns. Productive real assets with export revenue, the beneficiaries of devaluation. Consumables and essentials, tactical survival during the acute crisis phase. Food-producing land in stable jurisdictions, the calorie generator. What went to zero every single time? Government bonds in collapsing currency. Credit to a failing state. Domestic savings accounts. Purchasing power annihilation in slow motion. The pattern is mathematical, predictable, repeating. Rome fell. Yugoslavia fell. Zimbabwe fell. Lebanon is falling right now. The only question is whether you'll be the Roman merchant who demanded gold when he saw the silver shavings on the floor of the mint, or the one standing in line, holding a bag full of tin coins, wondering what happened. History has the answers. You just have to be willing to read the autopsies before you become one. If this forensic breakdown gave you a new lens for understanding economic history, subscribe. Drop a Roman coin emoji in the comments if you're already thinking about how to position. I read every single one. The pattern repeats. The only variable is whether you see it coming. Thanks for watching. Now go study history before history studies you.